good everyone, welcome to this video. Today it's a Spade review on the J22-B. Well, let's just say this thing is a monster. Like, I'm not even joking. This thing combines the J22's reasonable maneuverability and just... what the fuck? For some reason, this thing is at rank 3, battle rating 2.0. What that means is, you can fight fucking biplanes in this thing. Who frickin' Ray? And I mean that for the biplane pilots. Trust me, I fought one of these things with my Icobi's J8A. That's the only death I had fighting one of these things, and that's because I took him in a head-on, because I knew I was going to die anyway, and we ended up trading. But, Jesus Christ, this thing should be up-tiered a bit. It needs to be up-tiered. It doesn't need a nerf. It's not overpowered by any stretch of the imagination. It is not overpowered. It is purely the guns that are just insane. So the J22-B swaps out the two 8mm machine guns and replaces them with another pair of 13.2 Akan M39s, and oh my Jesus, the burst mass and the damage output is ridiculous for this BR. It takes the J22A, just give it a load of steroids or a load of freaking vodka, and just, that was it. That's all they did. And oh god, it makes it amazing. I've got to say that it makes it amazing. So you still have the same problems of the original J22A because none of those have been addressed. Obviously the lockup, the unreasonable turn rate, the mere rudder control. So you've got to take that into account. But other than that, it's mainly the guns. You don't get access to any bombs because obviously this is a later model. You don't get access to that, unfortunately. But let's be real, if you hit anything low tier-ish with quad 13.2s, they're gonna feel it either way. Such as a light tank, for example. So obviously this is going to be one of the newer aircraft that people get access to as they go through the tech tree, and obviously it's going to be the first proper fighter that they gain access to. It was a quick Spade. It really was a quick Spade. It's when you look at the belts. HEF, HEF, AP, HEF. Yeah, load this belt. Trust me, you'll see the devastation. Although I mainly kept the belts default for the Spade, I'll have the belts till last, but I put those belts on when I was running Operation Frost because I used this plane. Now you're going to look at the stat card and you're going to be like, what the fuck, Joe? How have you gotten this? Well, if I remember rightly, the original stats before I used it for Operation Frost was 2 deaths, 18 kills, and something like 20 ground targets. So those stats are not the true stats. It's the same with the B18B when I go over that. I've actually got that one noted down. I didn't note down the J22B because I'm an idiot. But this thing was surprisingly useful during that event. It could climb up to a good altitude where I could get above the enemy. It could tear anything apart with its guns. And most of my deaths were actually to anti-aircraft. And I swear it's because Gaijin just, like, they literally take control of it and just blow up my fuel tank in the first shot. It feels that way. You've got to watch the fuel tanks on this one primarily. The J22A I never had any fuel tank problems with, but this one I did. It was weird. But you can see 84% win rate. It's just, oh god, this is amazing. But yeah, this thing is one brutal plane. I really recommend giving this thing a go. And if you're grinding Warbonds, the option's there. I mean, it is 2.0. The most you'll fight is an E4 or a BS 180. Give it a go, honestly. But anyway, let's jump into the battle and let's get started with the carnage. I can only apologize for my voice. It's because whenever my throat's a little dry in the morning, I do sound a bit different. But don't worry, I've got that addressed. That's better. So if I remember rightly, this is a down tier? If I remember rightly? It's been a while since I watched this one. But I remember as we're going along. Yes, it is a down tier because it's Icobi's. So, quite a few of the enemy team are consisting of Icobi's J88 because this flight took not long after Icobi's came available. I will actually do a review on Icobi's because I actually had a lot more fun with it than I was expecting to from having spaded the Intri J8A. Because I learned its flaws, I got used to it, and then I was able to make it work really well. So, J22-B, obviously, in this battle I believe I was half spaded, apparently. I think I was half spaded. Like I say, you're asking a morning brain, as I call it. Morning brain is a term I use for when I've been awake no less than an hour, and my brain is complete crap. So, yeah. That gives you an idea of my current brain situation. It's not the best, let's just say. So, let's just say this plane isn't going to climb well. As you can see, it's not climbing the best. This thing is not meant to climb, and obviously with it being half-spaded, that doesn't help the situation. However, it's not about the climb rate that bothers me. Once you get it spaded, it's pretty reasonable. And that V156 just gave a pair of AAA trucks a hug. Really useful to your team, aren't you? But hey, low tier games, you're gonna get things like that a lot. But trust me, if I'm ever, like, I was considering doing Warbonds, because at the time of this recording, there is the P63A5 for the Russians, and I am thinking of going for it, and I might use this thing, but I don't know, because, well, teams, because I've had really bad teams lately, so, I mean, the other day I was in the M41 Walker Bulldog, and I had 3 hours, because I was trying to spade it, 3 hours of constant losses. I thought, okay, I'll jump into P51D30, because I'm working on spading that as well. No, another hour of losses, and one vulture, scumbag. I even had a toxic player who, even though I was at an altitude disadvantage, I decided I'm going to use my speed to outrun the 109s, which is a fair decision. And some dickhead decided to get all toxic, so yeah. I might actually do a video on, like, what is wrong with our, like, 4.3 to 5.760 and stuff like that, because I'm really tempted. I could literally just, because I've actually deleted that replay, but I could literally just refresh those files from my recycle bin, and I will do a freaking video at some point if you guys want me to, because I'm just getting frustrated about it. It's just one of those planes, like, it's just, not planes, it's just one of those situations where you just can't do a lot, and it's really frustrating. Right, so, I'll skip ahead a little bit, because, well, I've been blabbering a bit too much, and I was looking at that P36, and obviously, you know me, I like to look at a couple of stat cards. And I thought that was that guy's not that guy's first rodeo. Now, if you don't know what that saying means, it essentially means you've done this before, you know what you're doing. It's a bit like blow your doors off. Like, people think blow your doors off would be something like where you chuck a C4 at the door in, like, CSGO. Like, company, well, what is it called? Counter-Strike Global Offensive is the technical name for it. And no, it basically means you'll outrun him. Like, you're going to put your foot down, or put your throttle forward, and just leave him for dust. That's essentially what blow your doors off sort of means. So if you look at my team list, they're not doing great. Obviously, I've been climbing up to follow this guy. So I'm doing my thing, obviously. I'm climbing up, I'm trying to deal with the high altitude targets first, and then work my way down. That's how I work. I don't go screaming into the deck when I know there's fighters above me, because that's just asking for suicide. Now this guy did have a bit of retard protection, as we all know. I think he was like level 7, something like that. And well, he's just took a full burst from quad 13.2s, and he only suffered a crit. Which, as you can tell, he does not give a shit about said crit. But luckily for me, he is a complete numbskull, so the moment he realises, huh, I can't seem to get onto the tail of this aircraft that's on my tail, I'm just going to turn the complete opposite way and give the aircraft behind me another shot. So, thank you very much. First kill. But you can see, obviously, my team is just getting absolutely annihilated. I think only like 2 other players on my team have got a kill so far. Obviously, excluding me. And this is where it starts to get a bit, oh, come on, it has to be biplanes moment. Because I just felt sorry for them. I mean, they're Icobes. They've clearly just got on the thing. Second kill. He just disintegrated. And they're obviously wanting to have a go in it. Because obviously it's new. They may not have access to Sweden yet. And I just crit that guy. Because one of them landed in the engine. But it doesn't show on there, but it was a crit. But, I just felt so sorry for them. Obviously, not that J22-B down there. I wanted him dead no matter what. Well, no matter what. Third kill. And obviously, there goes that JAA. He's currently trying to get out the battlefield, which you can't blame him. But, there we go. Another crit. Right flap, and I also hit the oil system on that thing. But obviously, I'm forcing that J22 here to come into a vertical fight. I know the J22B and an A doesn't do that particularly great in a vertical. It doesn't feel that way anyway. Now at this point, obviously, I know those 2 are crit, so I figure, okay, I'm going to go for the undamaged J22B, which is a smart move. Now obviously, he cuts inside here, which he knows if I follow that maneuver, I will pancake. And here comes a guy who I've been seeing an awful lot of lately in low tiers. Thunder 007. Here comes that JAA again. He clearly wants me to get revenge on me for scratching his paintwork. Well, I did a bit more than that, but ignore that. And obviously, here comes the toughness of this aircraft because of the armor plating, which I will go over at the end. Well, in fact, did I cover it in the J22A? I think I did. If I did, it's exactly the same as the J22A. If I didn't, 64mm of bulletproof glass in the front, 10mm of headrest and seat armor for the pilot, and a little bit of Durall for the control area and stuff like that. So anyway, back to topic. That Thunder 007 guy, probably one of the worst stat padders I've ever met. He pretty much plays nothing but low tier bombers. He completely sucks in them, and well, he's a bit like what's his name? FMT3, and he plays a shit ton of bombers. Like, I'm sorry, but bombers, like, they really do get boring after a while. I know it's my ace, by the way. They really do get boring after a while. Bombers do, and I would really love to understand how someone can play the same bombers thousands of times and not get bored of them. Now at this point you're probably thinking, why am I not engaging those 3 biplanes because they're currently attacking ground targets? Unfortunately folks, I'm low on ammo, so I can't. If I had more ammo in this thing, I would. You gotta bear in mind that P36A at the start took about 200 rounds, so blame him. Because otherwise I'd have gone hunting for those biplanes. So I think Thunder 007 must be grinding a Martin 139 using the Gladiator. And, well, he's not a particularly great fighter pilot, and he's not a particularly great bomber pilot either. I just don't get people like that. Like, I would get bored after flying the same plane a couple of 100 times in a row. And I've seen that guy do that. Like, oh, you ought to see a stat card. Like, fuck me. But obviously at this point, I'm preparing the aircraft and rearming the aircraft, and well, I make a bit of a smarter decision, which some people are probably going to knock, but that's fine. You can have your own opinions. So I take off again, and I'm making my way towards the last remaining few ground targets that we have, because obviously Thunder 007 is currently engaging them. Now the AAA luckily has blatted him one, so his engine is currently seizing of operation, which helps me out a lot. And as you can see, well, he was getting blatted by the AAA, but it appears he's hugged a cactus of some kind. Well, I mean, he is a bit of a prick anyway, so it would explain that. But obviously, I'm spraying a bit at long range to get the kill. And, well, there we go. Kill number 6, and my final kill. Now, don't get me wrong. I could easily farm those 2 J8As. However, I felt bad. I really did feel bad. So instead, I decided I'm not gonna be a horrible arsehole and vulture their runway and kill me some more biplanes. Because, well, at the end of the day, they're just biplanes. These guys are probably just flying those planes for the first time, trying to get an experience for them. And, well, if you want to see that, lads, just go look at my JA review. You ain't missing much. You'd be better off flying the J6-B, personally. But, I mean, once you get used to JA, it's actually pretty good, but the J6-B is just arguably better. Except for top speed. But at this point, I decide I'm going to go farm some ground targets, and I make that decision quite bluntly, because normally I would go for the kills, but to be honest, nah. I've done my work, shall we say. I've done my job, and well, I don't need to farm any more morons in biplanes, because well, not morons, more like, I don't need to farm any seals in the J22-B, when I can just get some more RP and finish the game quicker by hitting ground targets. And that artillery right in front of me is going to be my 6th and final ground kill. So like I say, this thing is an absolute monster in the right hands. You really do get matches like this one, let me tell you. But let me say, if I see people flying this thing in low tier, grinding Warbonds, I'm honestly not going to blame you. So, go as you will. But yeah, this thing is a lot of fun, it packs great firepower, and well, it's pretty decent at dealing with the plethora of biplanes that I had to run into. But yeah, don't abuse this thing, because no doubt, Gaijin might nerf it too hard. Same with the A. But just don't abuse it too much, because like at least have the common courtesy to use the B18B, because that thing does need an up tier. Just saying. But hey, we'll see how it goes. But anyway, I'll let you guys off. I hope you enjoyed today's video on the J22-B, and I will see you all on the next one.